for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sincerely, Moore Healy. Judge Allen, thank you for being here today and congratulations on your nomination. Can you please introduce us to people that you have with us here today?
Me too. Thank you, Counselor. I have my husband, Bob Danishevsky, and my children, Jack and Spencer, my two sons, Jack and Spencer Danishevsky. I have my two witnesses, Judge Jessica Dubin of the Probate and Family Court and Attorney Martin Kane. I have a friend, Attorney Nick Plant from Worcester. I have our judicial case manager from Norfolk and who was also with me in Middlesex County, Jason Caton. Judge Thomas Barber, Judge Teresa Pisinius, Chief Amy Blake from the Appeals Court, Attorney Jim Brick, Judge Melanie Gargas, and Judge Roxanne Tatro, Middlesex and Worcester, respectfully.
Thank you. And I am honored to have Counselor Iannello with us today, as well as Counselor Kennedy and Counselor Maura Dorland, who is here with us today during this hearing, but we do have some of our counselors that are stuck in traffic and they'll be here today. Would you like to introduce your first witness?
Thank you. Judge Jessica Dubin.
Is that 2 pages? Can we cut it down to 1?
It's big font. I knew you wanted it short, Counselor Kennedy. Right. Good morning, distinguished members of the Governor's Council. I'm very honored to be here today to enthusiastically support the nomination of my colleague and friend, Judge Jennifer Allen, to the Appeals Court. As some of you may recall, I was before you last June for my own confirmation hearing to become an Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court. This morning, I'm going to briefly tell you about my experience appearing before Judge Allen as a family law practitioner and my experience with her as an incredibly supportive colleague once I became a judge. I had the pleasure of appearing before Judge Allen while she was an Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court in both Middlesex and Norfolk counties. When I say pleasure, I truly mean that. Judge Allen was always extremely well prepared, and sometimes it seemed as though she knew the facts of my case better than I did. She gave very helpful, realistic feedback that allowed opposing counsel and me to settle most of our cases before her. She was empathetic and patient to all who appeared before her, including some very difficult attorneys and self-represented litigants. Judge Allen's intellect on the Probate and Family Court is unsurpassed, and her writing skills are phenomenal. It is somewhat rare to find a probate and family court judge who combines all of these important traits in one person, but Judge Allen manages to do so. As lawyers, we would talk all the time about which judges were assigned to our cases, and the many family law attorneys that I knew were uniformly pleased to get assigned to Judge Allen because of the respect she showed to lawyers and their clients, her superior knowledge of the law, and her courtroom atmosphere that promoted fairness. I got to know Judge Allen much better and had to learn to call her Jennifer once I was assigned as a new judge last July to the Norfolk Probate and Family Court. Jennifer's generosity in taking time out of her busy day to mentor me has been nothing short of incredible. She greets me with patience and support each morning, and I mean that each morning, when I walk into her lobby with a pile of files and endless questions. She has taught me so much about the substantive areas of law, which I was not very familiar, such as probate and guardianship cases. But even more importantly, she has taught me how to manage my calendar and my courtroom by sharing tips and best practices that never would have occurred to me as a new judge. She has devoted countless hours to reading my decisions and redlining them and making them much better as I learned to transition from writing as an advocate to a decision maker. When I casually mentioned to her an evidentiary issue that came up during one of my hearings about which I'm unsure, an hour later, Jennifer will present me with the leading case on point after taking upon herself to do that research. I truly do not know how she has found the time to be such an amazing mentor to me while also managing her own case load and responsibilities so well. I have also observed and heard from other new judges, both within and outside of Norfolk County, that Jennifer has been a huge help to them as well. Every staff member at our court, including court officers, sessions clerk, judicial secretaries, judicial case managers, and others, loves working with Jennifer. She treats everyone with respect and kindness, and she is always going out of her way to buy cakes and flowers for birthdays and special occasions. Currently, there are 5 of us judges at the Norfolk Probate and Family Court, and we share a great sense of camaraderie. We take a walk and/or get together for lunch almost every day, sharing stories of what happened that morning during our sessions and asking each other for advice. If Jennifer is confirmed to the appeals court, we will greatly miss our daily interactions with her. The Probate and Family Court Bar and my Probate and Family Court colleagues are all thrilled at the prospect of having another Probate and Family Court judge elevated to the appeals court. With so many probate and family court cases being appealed, it will be a great benefit for the appeals court to have another judge on it who has deep understanding of probate and family court issues. On behalf of all of us, I thank Governor Healy for nominating Jennifer to fill such an important role. In case it is not yet clear, I wholeheartedly support Jennifer's nomination to the appeals court. I know she will embrace her new role and be an asset to that court. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have about this incredible nominee. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Counselors, any questions for the first?
Thank you for your testimony. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
You're very brave.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And your second witness?
Before I introduce Attorney Kane, I just wanted to recognize that Attorney William Mayer is here and Attorney Adam Berkowitz also has joined us. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Attorney Kane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Civil, members of the Governor's Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of Jennifer Allen in her appointment to the Massachusetts Court of Appeals. I know Councilor Kennedy wants me to keep it short and sweet, but the last time I was before Judge Allen, she ruled against
It's
me.
never been sweet.
She ruled against me last time I was there, so buckle up, this is gonna take a while. I met Judge Allen when I was a president of Middlesex Bar, and we were starting this conciliation program, and we recall that we were in East Cambridge. And so people would have to come in from the west all the time, and when we were doing conciliations, needed to rely on Jennifer to take on cases in the west. She did a great job. I truly believe she was 100% on the settlements, and you can only be that effective if you know the law, if you understand the fact patterns, and that if you can work with both counsel and the party sometimes independently to get to resolution of these conciliation cases. So it was, she was a tremendous asset to the bar before she became a judge. I've learned now that she graduated high school at the age of 16, second in her class, not too bad. Got into some school, some dump down in New Haven called Yale Law School. And thankfully ended up at Boston College for reasons that are personal to her, but it's the better school, I promise you that. And matriculated into private practice. And I think the reason the appeals court is fortunate to have her, and I think one of the reasons the governor made a great appointment, is because Jennifer comes to the appeals court, or will come hopefully to the appeals court, armed with 2 specific weapons. One is her knowledge of the probate and family court. We have Chief Justice Blake, who sat in the probate and family court, but that was a few years ago. So it'd be nice to have an ally up there to help the other members of the appeals court work through these very complex issues that we deal with in the probate and family court. But the flip side of it, I spoke with Justice Kafka a couple weeks ago about not having a land judge on the appeals court. And the benefit, as I told Justice Kafka, was with Justice Allen, we have the benefit of her knowledge of land use issues in private practice. She did a lot of land use issues, zoning board of appeals, both commercial, residential, zoning, conservation, affordable housing. So you're really, Chief Justice Blake, getting 2 for the price of 1. If this very smart group approves, which I hope they will, this very fine candidate. She is a tremendous judge in the probate and family court, reasoned. She's the type of judge, I wish other judges would emulate her, the newer judges that are coming on now, because she would give you her thoughts at a pretrial conference, which allowed the lawyers and the litigants who heard the one judge who's hearing the case, a direction to solve the logjam. And the newer judges could take a page from her playbook to instill that in their journeys as judges in the probate. There's no hesitation here. This is the easiest one you will vote on, I promise you, all year. This is a layup, a 2-foot putt. I didn't even give Kennedy the putt on this one. So I thank you for your time. I'm willing to answer any questions that the council members may have. But I really 100% endorse Justice Allen to the appeals court with Chief Justice Blake. Thank you.
Permit?
Yes, Counselor.
Always great to have you here. You've worked well with all the councils. You've always been supportive of all of us. You've done great work when you're on the joint bar, working with us on that, and always appreciate your input.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Counselors, any other questions? Yes.
Thank you. No questions. It's good to see you again. I value your testimony. You had a great career, continues. It's always good to see you, and I can only say the nicest things about you.
Thank you, Mr. Randall. Thank you.
So don't.
I just want to add my voice to the chorus. Really good to see you. Really appreciate your input today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council Dolan. Thank you.
Thank you for testifying today. Thank you. And is there any opposition? No?
With the line of security,
Shh, Justice Allen. Give you the floor.
Good morning to this esteemed council. I would like to thank Counselor Civil for hosting my hearing and all of the counselors for meeting and speaking with me over the past days and weeks. Thank you to Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for nominating me, to Chief Legal Counsel Boodoo, former Legal Counsel Scott Reed, all of the members of the JNC, and to Deputy Legal Counsel Kesselheim for your time, reassuring text messages, and advice throughout the process. A special thank you to Sonia Altamirano and her team for assisting me in anticipation of today's hearing. Thank you to my witnesses, the Honorable Jessica Dubin of the Probate Court, and to Attorney Martin Kane for appearing in support of my nomination. And to Chief Justice Blake for her kindness and her guidance. And to my colleagues and friends who are here today and who have sent me many emails and messages in support. I am thrilled and humbled to be here, and in the confidence shown in me by virtue of this nomination to be an Associate Justice of the Appeals Court. When I appeared before this council just over 6 years ago, I shared the details of why I am such a fortunate woman, and of course my history remains undisturbed. My childhood was idyllic, and I was an only child who had parents who were my best friends, my educational supervisors, and my travel companions. Education in its many forms was always at the forefront. My parents taught me that families of all makeups should be supported, respected, and given every opportunity to succeed. As I grew up, my little 3-person family was so close and so perfect in my eyes that my vision for the future was to replicate that bond in my own family, and beyond that, to have a career with and for families. At Brandeis University, I worked towards a teaching career, but on the first day of classes of my senior year, life gave me a devastating blow when my father took his own life. For months, I was rudderless and uncertain of how to move forward without my father's direction, dry British humor, and love. But with good friends and clarity of purpose, I learned that there is always a path forward if you look for it. I changed paths and was soon at Boston College Law School. After graduation, I was hired in a small suburban firm, and there I stayed for all of my 25 years of practice. The suburban practice is truly counsel to all, for all. My partner and I shepherded hundreds of families through life events. We represented buyers of first homes, businesses opening their doors, parents adopting new additions to their families, and developers looking to provide housing. Those same clients came to us in moments of crisis, when experiencing divorce, when there had been an arrest, or when the business had not been as successful as they hoped. For 18 years, I developed my practice alongside my partner, who imparted a commitment to preparation and civility. When I appeared before you 6 years ago, I emphasized how much I cared about the probate and family court, how it is perceived, and how it functions for all involved. And I pledged that I would bring all that I could to work every day as a trial judge. What I did not tell you then, because I did not yet know, is that for every moment that I have given to the court, it has been returned tenfold. I have spent this application process promoting my writing skills, but ironically, I have been at a loss to adequately describe the depth and variety of talent exhibited by all of those who are within the court. Witnessing and learning from judges and staff as they guide overwhelmed family members through the confusing terrain of litigation has given me more than I can ever repair. Every judge in our court is dedicated, passionate, and committed to the families before them. My case managers and my session clerk, the true front lines in the courtroom, are models of positivity and organization and prove that while I may be the decision maker, I am nothing without my team. During my tenure as a trial court judge, I presided over thousands of motions, evidentiary hearings, and trials, and tried my best to issue judgments that were understandable. I learned quickly that many litigants do not fully understand the role of a fact finder and the impact when their view of their family does not align with mine. My goal is always clarity, whether in writing or presentation in the courtroom, and to deliver in a manner that the recipient feels heard, even if they are disappointed with the result. I had the honor of managing the Department of Mental Health list in Middlesex for over 3 years, assuring proper monitoring for some of our most vulnerable citizens, a cause that is very dear to my history. My mentors within the court were so impactful that I tried to pay it forward and mentor new judges with not just substantive knowledge, but also boots on the ground, practical advice. If I am fortunate enough to be confirmed, I will look back on my years as a trial judge knowing that I was not perfect. But it is my hope that the families that came before me had an experience that felt fair and left them better equipped as they moved forward. The court has filled my cup to overflowing, and I am profoundly grateful. I hope that I will always be considered a part of the probate court family. There are 3 people who have not yet been mentioned, but deserve the highest of praise. Jack and Spencer, 6 years ago, I told you that you had surpassed me not only in height, but in intelligence, creativity, and curiosity. You have both left me even further behind. You are both accomplished college graduates and bring boundless joy to our family. My most important job is being your mom, and you have both made it so easy. Continue to be a best friend to the other, because knowing that someone is always in your corner is the greatest gift. To my husband, Bob, your love and our partnership is the foundation that supports our family. You ease my mind in times of self-doubt and are my biggest fan in times of celebration. You have a sweetness that I am so grateful to experience. In the words of the great 1970s philosophers Hall and Oates, you make my dreams come true. Counselors, I humbly suggest to you that I have the knowledge and experience to serve as an Associate Justice of the Appeals Court and to continue to bring these skills to the people of the Commonwealth. I pledge once again that if confirmed, I will bring these attributes each day. I respectfully seek your vote. I thank you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. We'll start off with Counselor Dolan.
Thank you so much. Judge Allen, I'm going to keep this brief. I was very impressed by our conversation with your understanding of the law, with your command of the law, with your compassion, your insights, and your experience. I want to highlight that you worked with Metro West Legal Services for 10 years, as well as serving on the board. I think that's incredibly important work to do, and it speaks volumes about your character that you did it. I heard from a number of people. I happened to run into Judge Thomas Barbar last week, who raved about you. I got a phone call from Judge Marisha Bott, who spoke at length, very complimentarily about your attention to detail, the work that you've done mentoring and supporting new judges, your diligence in dealing with complex cases and making sure that the parties know that they have been heard and that the law has been applied correctly. I'm very confident that you will serve with distinction, and I'm very pleased that you've been nominated. I just want to ask you one question, because you told me that 23% of the appeals heard are from probate and family court cases. So can you just help educate everyone who's watching today and me what it will mean to have a probate and family court judge in our Court of Appeals?
Thank you. Well, I think that Chief Blake can speak to the specificity of the percentages. I did go back and look at the statistics after we spoke, and I saw that there are, I think in the last time that the statistics were reported, that there were over 100 probate and family court specific cases reported in that year that they were. And that does not include the sort of, I would call them quasi probate and family court issues that 209As that come in from the district court and the superior court where we have overlap. And then also trust issues and different things that may be heard in the superior court. So all of those together, I think, make up a significant percentage. I think that the citizens of the Commonwealth, I think that if you went into the neighborhoods, the probate and family court is generally the court that many people go to. It's the most common court. Most people are not involved in complex business litigation. Most people are not involved in patents. And I think that it is the probate and family court that touches most citizens in the towns. And I think yeah, I would be honored to represent them and to bring that knowledge to the court.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Counselor Iannella.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions either. We met, I think it was 5-6 years ago. We had a nice conversation over the phone recently. Councilor Civil is a strong supporter of yours. Impressed with the folks you have here today. The chief is doing a magnificent job. You got a Kenny Kane here, anyone else? But yeah, I think you're gonna do a great job. We need another justice from the probate court being elevated to the appeals court. You're the perfect person. I wish you the best, and when your name comes before the council, you can count on my help.
Thank you.
Counselor Kennedy.
I'm voting for you. Mostly because I'm afraid of the chief. You should be.
As am I, for the record.
At a time. We had a long talk on the phone. It wasn't that long ago that you were here when we voted for you for the probate court. And I've heard nothing but good things about you, and I'm thrilled to vote for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Counselor Tara.
It's good to see you. Thank you for coming out, spending time
Thank you.
talking about all the things with me. I don't have a lot of questions, but I'm curious to hear your perspective on if you can think back to before you took the bench 6 years ago, compared to your experience on the bench, and then looking forward to the appeals court and another court. I'm kind of curious in your any surprises to you in terms of what you expected versus what your experience was as a judge in terms of specifically the kinds of importance around traits, work ethic, characteristics that you thought would be important versus what you've discovered to be what you consider now to be the most important things. And then looking forward, if you think there are any differences in terms of personal makeup or work ethic between probate court and appeals court that you think that you bring and that you think are of most importance, if that all makes sense.
Well, I think that the most sort of, I don't want to say shock, but one thing that really struck me when I became a judge, and I think that all the judges that are here today from the trial court would agree with me, that when you are a practitioner and you have not worked within the court and on that side, you do not realize the volume of cases. And when you, in my practice, say I had anywhere between 40 and 60 cases going at a time, they would all turn over, but say that might be an average number, and I could keep track of that. In the probate and family court at one time, and again, they roll over, but in all of the courts from Springfield East, each one of those judges has over 700 and up to 1,100 cases. It is and I coined this phrase, and I call it a tsunami because it's a never-ending sort of number of cases that does not stop. And so that sort of feeling of and that impacts you in different ways. It's distressing that that there are that many people in the system just in and of itself. It's a tremendous pressure on not just the judges, but the people who support the judges to get through the caseload, get through the day, the week, and all of the numbers. So that was really the one of the things that really struck me when I start. But everybody does it. Everybody, as I said in my speech, everybody is unbelievably dedicated. As a trial judge, we have camaraderie, we have phone calls, we have conferences that we go to, we have judicial education, but you're ultimately an island on your own, and you have to make the ultimate decision. In one of the things that I'm looking forward to, if confirmed in the appeals court, is working in collaboration with other judges, all of whom will be more senior to me and have wisdom from other areas of the law. And I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm a good independent worker. I'm also a good worker within a team. And so I hope that the skills that I have developed as a trial judge will translate well to that.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts around judicial wellness. I see that you were on committee focused around that area. I'm just curious in hearing how you would prioritize in that space and where you think work needs to be done, and if there's a broad characterization of sort of the current state of judicial wellness from your perspective. I'm curious to hear about it.
So I joined the subcommittee, excuse me, on judicial wellness because I had done some reading and also spoken with my colleagues about secondary trauma and how we, as sort of the frontline experience these fact patterns and these families and these of trauma constantly during the day. We hear cases of sexual abuse of children, physical abuse, intimate partner violence, multiple times a day, not just multiple times a year or a month. And I think that it impacts the judges and the others who support them. And I think, and I don't have a solution to that. I would support if there was some mandatory, I don't want to call it training, but some mandatory support at all of the conferences. But we only have 3 conference days a year. And I know that the judges are there to see each other and to have that camaraderie and to learn. And there's so much to learn because we have case law coming down and we have new rules and all of those things. But I would certainly support efforts to assist judges in managing that.
No, I appreciate all that, and I appreciate your efforts towards that work, and I hope to see it bear out in ways that really do benefit the mental health of our judges. Because I absolutely hear what you're saying in terms of the secondary trauma. I think that's a very real thing in probate and family, but also, many of our courts are seeing trauma impacted individuals in many different walks of life and reasons for being there. But I think there is their trauma, but then the reception of that and the impact that has on the judges and the court staff as well. I hear that, and I appreciate that work. So I am curious about, on the appeals court, I think having probate and family experience is vital and so important for the reasons addressed. But of course, that's not the exclusive work that you will be reviewing and offering an opinion on. And so I'm just curious about the personal lens that you might be bringing, whether you can speak to whether or not you personally have had any experience. I thank you for sharing the story about your personal family experience. Clearly that has trauma to it. But I'm curious about whether you have any personal experience with some of the things that are coming through our court systems regularly, systemically, societally, like food insecurity, housing insecurity, that kind of, a lens of
Well, I mean, within the probate and family court, we, we have families in front of us all the time that are experiencing housing insecurity, partner violence, all types of, and we, as part of our work, we have probation departments, we try and connect them with services. The probation department in the probate court really is the only mechanism that we have to get the services to them. And they have to be that the parties have to be cooperative to do that if it's something with respect to their family system. In my suburban practice, as I said, we represented some developers who were working towards some 40B housing. I know that there's going to be a lot of work to learn the new areas of the law, and I'm excited to learn what I don't know yet.
That actually is my last question, was we talked a little bit about the application of the Parenthood Act. Am I getting it right?
Parenthood Acts.
And the implications that likely will show up soon, if not already, at the appeals court level. And so I just want to give you an opportunity. I really appreciated when we were talking about the way that you kind of laid out where you saw as the key areas that are probably going to evolve with work from the appeals court level or SJC level, depending on where things go. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of share with us here what that law entails and the areas that likely will show up.
Well, I don't want to say that I can predict how it's going to necessarily show up, but at the appeals court, but we call it the MPA, has provided direction and assistance now. It has provided a clear, relatively clear roadmap for providing de facto parentage to parties who are not biological parents. It has provided a streamlined process for surrogacy and has taken a lot of the, I don't want to say discretion, but the different paths and the unknown paths that adoptions and people who use gestational carriers and surrogacy have had to navigate in previous years, because now we have one path that has been outlined for all of the courts, rather than parties having to know what a particular division or a particular judge is seeking.
See that we've got one year of wanting to ask questions. I'll end there, but thank you for your answer.
Nice to see you.
Counselor DePaulo?
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning. I apologize for getting to your hearing late. I underestimated. I thought I could take it easy in Worcester this morning to get to 11. I was wrong. Because of that, I don't want to ask you questions you may have already been asked. We had a good conversation talking about Metro West Legal Services, your experience, perspective. We talked about brain science and Diachenko. We talked about some recent legislation like coercive control. So I'm going to leave it without questions. We need your background on the appeals court. Got a lot of positive feedback from you. I see Attorney Nick Plant's in the audience, and he's someone who reached out to me as well as others. So I'm not going to ask any questions. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. Counselor Ferreira.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. You and I had a great conversation. We talked about, particularly like when I got divorced 25 years ago, it was typical for dad to get every other weekend and see you on Wednesday night type thing. I fought very hard and got shared joint physical custody with a judge yelling and screaming at me, saying it was never going to work. What's been your experience of being a judge recently? Do you think that's the tide has turned? And tell me what your experience is.
I think that the tide has absolutely turned. I think that most, if not all, of the judges now start in a place where, and I don't want to use the word presumption, but because I'm nervous, I'm gonna have to use that word, but there's a presumption of shared custody. And one to ensure that both of the parents are fully invested in and part of those children, of the children's lives in every way. That there is not a presumption that one parent, and I say this to the parties that come before me, there's not a presumption that one parent is better than the other, or that one parent can do it better than the other. And, you know, the 209C statute still speaks to not disrupting a primary nurturer. However, the face of the primary nurture has changed, just as the over the last year, let's say the last 25 years, it is often a shared responsibility now. And I think it has changed. I sat in both counties, Middlesex and Norfolk. I have friends from other counties who are here, and I think that they would agree that it is few and far between that we're seeing a judge who is not implementing that type of mindset.
It's great to hear. I have vowed never to vote for anyone who wouldn't tell me that. My kids are now like, well, 25 years older, so they're like 27, 30, and 33. All girls, highly successful, and I couldn't have a better relationship with them because I was part of their life. Just about every day. Bought a house 2 houses away as well. But I'm a firm believer in that, so I appreciate your thoughts on that very much. We also talked about restraining orders, and you know, they're a needed tool and very effective in some ways. And is it also your opinion that sometimes they're abused?
I think there can certainly be a manipulation. I want to be clear, intimate partner violence is a real thing. And they are absolutely necessary in many situations. However, I think that, you know, there can be manipulation, and that's why we need to give judges the room and the time to have the hearings so that you can drill down on the facts and make sure that the decisions they're making are accurate.
In your experience as a probate judge, have you seen it where your client or the other side said, "Oh, they're winning," and they run into the district court and go, "I'm afraid, I need a restraining order to gain leverage for custody"? Have you seen that?
Absolutely.
And what can we do to fix that? Will we steer them right to the probate court? What do we do?
Can you say that one more time? Can we?
Do we steer them to the probate court so at least the judge has an understanding and is familiar with the, you know, what's going on behind the scenes? Or do we let the district courts keep giving them out even when they shouldn't?
So I think that when we talked about that, I think I said to you that all of my supporters who are here today will probably be angry with me if I was to say that they should all be referred back to the probate court if there are children involved. So hopefully they're still supporters after the end of this, but I did discuss that with you, that if there are children involved, that perhaps there should be a presumption that they're returned to the probate court. But that, again, there are many district court judges, I think, that do drill down on it. That seems to be casting aspersions on a population that's not appropriate. You know, I think that it really, what needs to happen is for the time to be given to give it a proper hearing. And to your point, you know, we can see a case for 2 years that goes through our system, and we issue a judgment of shared custody with parenting time, and can spend hours on our judgments, hours on our findings, have gone through a 2-day trial, and the person who doesn't like that result can walk into the district court 2 weeks later, and with you know, the stroke of a pen, it can upend it. I think that now that people are familiar enough with the system that they come back, but then there's more hearings in front of us. So it's a challenging area, yes.
I don't want to be misquoted. I think the judges get it right, let's say 95% of the time. But I've seen my clients, and Counselor Kennedy's in court every day. He's seen some of his clients get these orders on them, which, you know, disables them from working, from seeing their children. Then they can't get a hearing for another 4 months sometimes. And it's just you know, I've seen the horrors on both sides.
It's very challenging.
Another question, the last question I'll talk to you about, and it's something that's always been on my mind. I was happy to pay for college for my kids. But I always thought it was wrong that the government tells you you have to pay college for your kids because your status is divorced as opposed to married. And now with free tuition in Massachusetts, is there any change or what are your thoughts on that?
I think that you are correct, and it has been thoroughly vetted through the appeals court that it is, and because I think there was a constitutional challenge to that very issue, and it was vetted that it was constitutional for judges to be able to order in the situations that they deemed appropriate for parents to have to pay for college, whereas in an intact family, parents certainly do not have to pay for college, and they can say you're on your own, or we're only going to pay for so much. I think that the judges are sensitive to it. As part of our child support guidelines, there is the cap of the UMass Amherst cost, and so that is often part of it. What I have looked at in the cases that I have seen often is that if the parties do not have significant college savings already, and didn't look like they were really saving for college, I have not generally asked people to invade their assets to pay for college, and I cannot order people to take loans. And so I usually can usually get a resolution out of parties.
Do you think that will be factored in that now they get 2 years free college, so either parent doesn't have to pay for the first 2 years?
Yes, it would be factored in.
I want to thank you for your service. I know you've heard great things about you. The guy behind me is a big fan of yours. He called me early on. You got some great support in the room. I'm definitely going to vote for you next week, and I'm sure you're going to do a good job. Thank you.
Counselor, Judge Allen, I'm pretty sure that you are a great example to those who are following you. I'll definitely be voting for you as well. Thank you for taking the time to meeting with me. We had a great conversation. I think what's most important is that our constituents know that you're a real human being, that you had your own traumatic experience and you're open about it. And when people go to court, they understand that you see where they're coming from because you've experienced as much as they have, but you're just in a higher position for you to make a decision on their behalf when they can't make that decision. So I'm very grateful that you have shared that with us, and that you definitely have the qualifications to be where you are now. And I hope nothing but the best for you going forward. And this will conclude our hearing today at 11:45.
for a moment of reflection and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you, Governor. Well, I'd just like to take a moment, to both reflect and give gratitude. There's so many things happening in the world that are increasing people's anxiety and concerns about where we are and where we're going. But I wanted to reflect on some experiences I've had recently in my community around the Juneteenth celebrations and the Pride celebrations and the outpouring of love and joy and support that give so many reasons to be hopeful in the face of all that is concerning. So I just wanted to reflect on that for a moment. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
For which it stands,
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay, we are here this afternoon to comply with the Massachusetts Constitution and the general laws relative to the tabulation and certification of votes cast in the June 10th special state election to fill a vacancy in the House of Representatives, some of the most important work that the Governor's Council does. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Councilor Ferreira for a motion to record certification that Lisa M. Field has been elected representative in the General Court from the 3rd Bristol District.
It's a pleasure to make that motion. Thank you.
And is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Ianella. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. No roll calls necessary, so the matter carries. We want to congratulate Lisa Field on her election and certification this afternoon. I'd like to recognize Councilor DiPaolo for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So moved.
Seconded by Councilor Jacobs. Is all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Councilor Ianella for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. At this point, I'd like to recognize Councilor Ianella for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Brian Doxtator to the position of Associate Justice in the District Court.
Thank you. I'd like to make that motion for Brian Doxtator as an Associate Justice of the District Court.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Councilor Civil. Any questions, concerns, further commentary? I know we've already had hearings on this. Seeing none, I would ask Sonia to please call the roll.
Counselor Ianella,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy,
Yes.
Counselor DePaulo,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs,
Present.
Counselor Ferrer,
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
That matter carries with 6 voting in the affirmative, 1 voting president. The matter carries. I'd now like to recognize Councilor DiPaolo for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Angelo Gomez Jr. to the position of parole board member.
Briefly, before I offer that, I just want to thank the administration for putting forth a great nominee. This advances representation on the parole board in several areas, including having another Central Mass rep. We're grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the nominee having a perspective on some of the reforms that we know need to happen in the parole field that have been ongoing, and I think he's going to continue that progress. And with that, I'm proud to make that motion.
I'll second that.
And seconded by Councilor Ferreira. Any further commentaries or questions?
I would just say I agree with Councilor DiPaolo, who's a student of many things in the juvenile court and the parole system. He goes to hearings. He knows all about the formation of the brain and things of that matter. He's a real supporter of Mr. Gomez. I think he's great. I think he has great experience, and he's going to do a great job in helping the parole board come to fruition and do great things. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate your advocacy and support for all of these candidates. Seeing no further questions or comments, I'll ask Sonia to please call the roll.
Counselor DePaulo,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs, yes, Counselor Ferrer,
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Ianella,
No.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
7 members voting, 6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The matter carries. And at this point, I'd like to recognize Counselor Civil for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of the Honorable Jennifer M.D. Allen to the position of Associate Justice of the Appeals Court.
Yes, she'll do a great job.
Motion's made by Counselor Civil,
Sorry.
seconded by everybody, Counselor Kennedy. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, I'd ask Sonia to please call the roll.
Counselor Steele,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Anello,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy,
Yes.
Counselor Paulo,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs. Yes. Counselor Ferrera.
Yes.
7 members voting, 7 in the affirmative, the matter carries. Congratulations, and I think that will conclude our business, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor DiPaolo, seconded by Counselor Ferrer, all those in favor, and opposed, the ayes have it. We stand adjourned.